All right, this is a story about the second, no, about the follower of the Baal Shem Tov, the second in the line of the Chassidic chain. The beginning was the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov had a pupil called the Maggid of Mezrich. And after the Maggid of Mezrich, he had, they say, 60 pupils. The first Rebbe of Chabad was one of them. And there was also Rebbe Levi Berdichev and others that were with him. Okay. Story. One of the Hasidim, one of the followers of the Middler Rebbe, of the Maggid of Mezrich, the pupil of the Baal Shem Tov, the leader of the Hasidim, one of his pupils had a son that decided that he did not want to be a Hasid. He did not want to be a Hasid. This idea of loving God and fearing God and learning about all these Kabbalistic ideas and being, the loving every Jew, he didn't like it. He just wanted to be a normal, regular Jew. You do the commandments and that's it. You don't get too excited. So that's sort of like, George Washington's son saying he wanted to be with the English. It was against the revolution or something. So that was too much. So the Hasidim, they tried to talk to him, they did, and nothing helped. So they all decided that the only thing that would maybe make this young man come back to his senses and be a Hasid is if they threatened him with making a cherem. But what's a cherem? A cherem means excommunication. Cherem, that's what it's called, a cherem. To excommunicate him. Excommunicating doesn't just mean, I don't know what it means in the regular word, but it's sort of an excommunicate is not a Jewish sort of a word, but what it means is that he's not included in a minyan and that people don't talk to him and nobody learns with him and he's like excluded from the community. And not only that, but he's cursed by God. It's got a curse on him. The problem with it is that, first of all, the people who make this, it's very rare in Judaism, but a person who does it, they really have to be sure that they're 100% right. And if they're a little bit wrong, there could be a very serious repercussions for them, for the people who are making the cherem. Okay, so anyway, they thought, okay, we'll just threaten him with it. So they didn't know what to do. So they went to the Maggid of Mezrich and asked them what to do. And the Maggid of Mezrich said, cherem, that's a very severe thing. I'll make what's called a dream request, sha'alat halom, a dream request. What was a dream request? There's a book which is called Shailat V'Tshuvot Min HaShamayim. And he said what he used to do, he would ask a question. If he had a question in the Torah that no one could answer, so he would write the question on a piece of paper or whatever, and I guess he would make special prayers before and fast, whatever it was, special meditations, and he would put the paper or the parchment with the question on it under his pillow, and he would wake up in the morning and there would be an answer written. That's what it says in the book, anyway. There's other places where it says that they would have a dream and that someone would come to them in a dream and tell them the answer. Anyway, so that's what the first Rebbe of the Maggid of Mezrich, that's what he did. He made a Shailat Halom. He wrote on the paper, this boy doesn't want to be a Chassid and they're considering making a cherem. Cherem, what should we do? So the answer was written, ask Zalmanu. Who was Zalmanu? Zalmanu was the first Rebbe of Chabad, but at that time he was a young man. He was like in his 20s. He was the youngest of all of the pupils of the Maggid of Mezrich, the youngest of all of them, but in certain ways he was the most gifted of all of them. So the Maggid told him to write a Siddur, to make a Shulchan Aruch. So he asked the Alter Rebbe. We call him the Alter Rebbe, the old Rebbe, but at that time he was a young man. So the Alter Rebbe said like this, listen, there's a sentence, it was in last week's Torah portion, that says that when you are working in the vineyard of your friend, if you're a worker, you're working in the vineyard then you can eat whatever you want to. You can eat grapes as you want. The word for vineyard is kerem. Kerem is the word vineyard. But kerem is written with a chaf. And if there's a point in the middle of the chaf when it's written, and it's not pronounced cher, it's pronounced ke. So kerem reacha, when you go to the kerem, the vineyard is written with a kaf with a dot in it. But in the Torah, in fact, it's not written. It doesn't have to be written. There's some words that are written with a dot, and there's grammatical laws. Sometimes it's written without the dot. If it's written without the dot, then you read it when you are working becherem reacha, which sounds exactly like the word for excommunication. The word for excommunication that was written with a chet. It's written with a letter chet. You ever see letter chet? It looks like a hey, it's closed. It's written with a chet. But if you say the word, you don't know if it's written, what you're referring to is a vineyard, which is written with a chaf, or it's referring to excommunication, which is written with a chet. You don't know. So he said, tell the Chassidim they should practice, and they should go to this young man, and they should tell him that if he doesn't return to his senses and be a Chassid, then we're going to put him into cherem and have intention. A cherem means a vineyard. But he won't hear that. He'll hear the word cherem, and he'll know, what are you going to put me in a vineyard? That makes no sense. Obviously, when they're saying cherem, it means that they're going to put me into excommunication and see what happens. So I said, okay. So the Maggid of Mezrich told his pupils, he got 5 pupils, whatever, and they practiced, put on black hoods or whatever you do to put a person into excommunication. And they knocked on this young man's door, opened the door, what is it? And there are these fellows standing there with black hoods over their face, with holding candles, or whatever you have to do. Anyway, they're looking very, how do you say, awesome. And they say, young man, if you do not, of course they practice, not to laugh when they say, if you do not return to your senses and become a chassid, then we are going to put you into cherem. And intending we're going to put you in the vineyard, which basically means nothing, but that's what they intended. And he heard cherem, they're going to put me in cherem. He thought it meant excommunication with a chet. So no. I'm sorry. I just wanted to take the easy way out. I just was lazy. I didn't mean it. I was selfish. I'll become a chassid again then. So it worked. So they went to the Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezrich, and they told him that your advice worked. And the Maggid of Mezrich thought to himself, it wasn't my advice. It was the advice of Zalmanu, of Shner Zalman, who was going to be the first Rebbe of Chabad. So he thought to himself, listen, if Zalmanu knows what's supposed to be done, what the Hasidim should do, is maybe he should be the leader. If I can't give the proper advice and he can, so maybe I should step down. I'll let him. I'm only here for the interest of the benefit of the Hasidim and to benefit the world. So he decided he'll make a shailat chalom, a dream request. So he wrote it down on the paper. I told the whole story. Should I relinquish my place as the leader to Zalmanu? Should I give it to him? Because he knew what to do. He put it under his pillow, woke up in the morning, it was written, ask Zalmanu. So he went to the first Rebbe of Chabad, told him the whole story. Your advice worked, and I'm considering that maybe you should be the leader of the. And the Rebbe laughed and he said, no, that is exactly the reason why I cannot be the leader and you have to be the leader. Said, why? Because what was the advice that I gave? The advice that I gave was a little bit sort of a lie. It's called Ganeva Dat. It's a little bit of trickery. There's a little bit of falsehood in there. In other words, you knew that you were making him think something that you did not intend. Intentionally, you fooled him. You said the word cherem, you intended a vineyard, and he heard cherem, which means excommunication. You fooled him. And that's not emet lamito. It's not true, 100% truth. And a Rebbe has to be 100% truth. Therefore, you have to be the Rebbe, not me. That's what a Rebbe is. Emes lamito. true truth. The fact is, though, that after Chabad, as the purpose is to bring true truth, but to bring it into this physical world in the way it is, and to bring it even into falsehood, so that people can think one thing, but really we're intending a totally different thing. Totally different thing. So people can think that, we're just like everybody else. Chabad, nice guys walking around. And the fact is we are like everybody else, and we are, but with a whole totally different intention. And that is to bring the whole entire world to recognize the oneness of God. But you can only do that if you show people that realizing the oneness of God does not make you into some sort of a weirdo or into some sort of a zombie or whatever. Like it says that Jacob put on the garments of Esav. But nevertheless, the story is the Rebbe has to be emes lamito, has to be true, ultimate truth. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Thank you very much for coming. See you tomorrow at 8:15.
Thank you.